With Matt Smith freshly buried, it's time for us to take a few moments with each Doctor. And no, I'm not talking about Billy Piper.
And I can hear every keystroke you make, Bill. It's done.
Welcome, everyone, to the 41st episode of an Unearthly podcast. We're recording live on January 10th, 2014, a bit later than our normal time, and I believe this is the first podcast of the year, yes?
I believe so,
yes. This is the start of the 2014 season.
Yep, and as is customary between seasons and groups of reviews, we are taking a bit of a break and doing a special on our favorite moments of each Doctor. I am the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt.
Hello.
And Ron San. Eli should be making it at some point, but I am not entirely certain.
Bill, are you there? We lost
Randy, apparently. Up. Randy, you're the one that's breaking up. Apparently, trying to get onto the stream is causing Randy to crash.
I'm breaking up? Oh, yeah. Let me kill... Yeah, that's what did it, too.
Okay.
So I will ignore the stream tonight. Apparently that's too much for the bandwidth to take, or for some reason just taking up too much resources on my laptop.
Either way, yeah. Yeah, you're clearing up again.
So for the record, that means probably none of us can see the chat, and Matt is the only one who knows what's streaming right now.
I can see the chat, and I can see the stream. We're in the stream!
Okay, well, I believe the first thing we usually go through is still the news.
Yep.
And the big news is that filming started this week for Season 8. Apparently there was a scene filmed in which Madame Vastra, Strax, and Jenny were seen on location.
Yep,
and I believe what they use for their Victorian London area.
Yeah, and it does look like, looking at some of the other photos from that shoot that are up, it is a general Victorian London scene, so nothing out of the ordinary as far as those characters go, at least that we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to those three, Alex Kingston had already at some point mentioned that she had filmed some stuff as River a week or it might have been a week or two back, might have been a little bit longer, but she's already been confirmed, and now we know that some form of the Master will be appearing in Series 8.
I thought that was still a rumor.
It's from an unnamed source, so
that's a rumor. If it's not from an official source, it's a rumor.
Okay. We can consider.
Admittedly, we've had a few rumors that came true, like the Fourth Doctor appearance, but
just looking at some of the other things from unnamed sources and alleged leaks, this has a good chance of being true. But considering we don't know who the source is, we can't really confirm that.
Yeah, until we get more substantial proof, we still have to go with the fact that it's a rumor.
For all we know, it's a guy that just happens to look like the Master.
Well, no, we don't. They didn't even know if that was going to be John Sims.
Right.
They were just talking that the article I saw that said that there was a rumor that the Master would be appearing in this series. They do not know if that meant John Sims or not, and whoever it is could have been looking at an early script that had it pre-cutting that out. You know.
The exact quote from the article: "Another mention of a character rumored to be making a comeback is the Master. Sources state that he will be back to plague his arch nemesis in Series 8, though it is not known if actor John Sim will return to portray him."
Yeah, it's at this point, it's a. I mean, even the source is saying it's a rumor. So we honestly don't know. It's a possibility. But unless we get some more substantial evidence, that's all it is.
It could be anything from a janitor overheard behind a closed door someone saying, hey, maybe the Master should come back, or it could be all the way to an intentional leak by Moffat to get people interested without actually revealing anything.
Mm-hmm. It also could be a Moffat troll. Sure. Saying, "Oh, look, the Master might be back," and then turning out, no, it's not.
I'm jingling the keys.
Now that does kind of tie into the next bit of Series 8 news, which is that supposedly they're going for a raw, different direction in Series 8. So Moffat intends to completely change the feel of the show in order to go with the new Doctor. I believe the word edgy might have been thrown around.
I don't know what they mean by that, but he says this in one breath, and what's the first scene that we see is getting filmed as a scene with Vastra, Jenny, and Strax, and the first rumor we hear is that River Song is coming back. This is hardly edgy. This is rehashing the last two series.
Can only hope, but dear God, yeah, it's not stepping in the right direction for new and edgy.
I'm a little curious what they consider to be raw, considering that this is still a family show, despite what the new Doctor seems to be most popular for.
Yeah, if the Doctor starts swearing up a storm, that would be interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be interesting.
No, I imagine ratings, family ratings would go down quite a bit.
But other individual ratings might skyrocket. Because can you imagine the Doctor cursing out the Daleks, man?
It sounds to me like we'd be going back toward cult territory again, which can best be described as the Eric Sayward era. So let's not go too far that direction.
No, my issue mostly, and this has come up on a few review sites since the finale, is the fact that, yes, we've said goodbye to Matt Smith, but that the show didn't do him justice.
Right.
That it's basically saying what I've been saying for like 2 years now.
What a lot of us have been saying for the last couple of years now is that he's getting really shit stories, and we don't blame him for everything that's going on screen.
Yeah, when he's had a chance to act in the show, he's done a brilliant job of it. But he was hamstrung by the scripts handed to him, and the direction his character was taken by the writers.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that Matt Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch have done a great job as the 11th Doctor.
What?
Oh, sorry, that was combining that with another piece of information. But I'll leave that out there anyway.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Dr. Sherlock thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that.
And
that's hardly my issue. I'm sorry. I've not really been impressed by anything that Benedict Cumberbatch has done. Except I will say, and this is kind of a spoiler for Matt, as he's going to see it in 2 days, he did an okay Smog.
Okay. That's not much of a spoiler. I've heard that he's done a pretty good Smog from various other sources.
I don't think the actor did a decent job should be considered a spoiler in a multi-million dollar.
No, I just.
I'm sorry, if he totally blew a smog, that would be a totally different story.
No, it's Matt's been dead for the last 2 weeks.
I've only been slightly dead, haven't getting better.
In fact, we're pretty sure he's a zombie now.
I smell your spicy brains, Randy.
So those of you that might be in the Mayberry area might want to stay away from him in case he decides to, go over and have a bite.
It's too cold.
It is too cold. I do not want to drive up there with a shotgun to put down the zombie apocalypse. But no, I'm just saying that the fact that I have not been wholly impressed by anything I've seen him in. So if they had decided to cast him as the Doctor, which was a rumor, by the way, I would have been less than impressed.
I'm basically saying that he's already been the Doctor, and it's the writer's fault.
Well, that's what happens when you try to write for two series at the same. Try to write and run two series at the same time. I'm surprised we didn't see Matt Smith become more Sherlocky, other than that one scene in The Snowmen, which was an homage.
And when your right-hand man is one of your writers on both of those shows as well.
They basically were using the same team as far as like writing staff.
There's a third writer on Sherlock that I don't think writes Doctor Who at all, but Moffat and Gatiss are pretty much running the direction of them both at this point, I think. Or Gatiss in terms of him essentially being Moffat's assistant writer type of deal.
Mm-hmm. And, we can see that Moffat, when he does have the chance to sit down, take a breath, and take a few months to write an episode...
And actually think about what he wrote.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
The 50th anniversary special was brilliant. Unfortunately, he only had a month between the 50th anniversary special and Matt Smith's last episode, and it shows.
It shows a bit, yes.
The problem is he's continuing on in season 8, which means we're getting the same shit, different year, regardless about what Moffat says. I'll see a raw new direction in Doctor Who when we see a new showrunner.
And even if it does really live up to that, I'm kind of concerned because, as I mentioned earlier, the last time we really saw a raw new direction was when the show's ratings started plummeted, and which led to it eventually being canceled.
No, the next time we heard a new direction being taken was when Moffat took over from RTD.
At least the way I'm interpreting raw to mean, when I hear raw, I'm thinking Earthshock.
No, that's not what they mean by raw. Raw, in this case, means the same as fresh.
And they started that the first time with the switch between the second and third Doctors.
Right.
And that was an okay switch up, but we didn't want it to stay that status quo forever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why they finally switched it up after 2 years.
But
the way is why I can't help but think of that specifically, and this is a little bit of a tangent, so I'm not going to go on long. But a lot of people that complain about the 50th special because one of the main things it did was change the status quo and the direction the show was going forward. The 10th anniversary special was all about changing the status quo and what the show is going to be going forward.
The 20th, not so much.
Very well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's changing the status quo every so often. Doctor Who does that. It's always done that.
And a couple of times it's been during anniversaries that they decided to make the new switch. Or hit the gears to start the new switch.
And I would say Day of the Doctor and the Three Doctors both did that in a very good way.
Rose took Doctor Who in a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
In one that we hadn't even thought of before. It established a completely new history for, the missing era. one that did not necessarily adhere to the stuff we had seen at Big Finish or in the books. It basically changed everything we knew about Doctor Who, and then the 50th anniversary special has done that again. It's actually set it closer to the way it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I appreciate that.
Yes. But as to how much we're going to actually get to see in the new series is still to be seen.
Yes.
And we'll have to wait until we actually see it.
When they say raw new direction, it means about the same thing that we do when we say taking the series in a fresh direction. It's trying to make everything old new again. The problem is, like I said, I think to do that you need a fresh writing team, and we're not seeing that. And the signs that we're seeing by the photos do not look like a fresh direction.
Yeah, so far he's having 5 of the same companions that Matt Smith did. And that's
if the stuff about Alex Kingston is true, again, that's also rumored. I think it was rumor based on quotes that she made.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that comes from her, and I don't think she's misled the audience. Although
yes,
I might.
But her quotes were the original quotes they were quoting there were speculative quotes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think somebody might have been taking speculation as fact. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm saying it's speculation, and personally, I would like to see River Song done with.
Well, I mean,
she really should have been in the Matt Smith's final episode, and that should have been the last we've seen of her.
Well, I mean, I believe I had seen quotes like this earlier. I mean, unless my brain is playing tricks on me and I'm thinking of quotes from Name of the Doctor, but I think I had seen quotes about her, but even before this specific article, where someone was quoting her and using that as evidence of her coming back. I don't think it was the same quote, but I'm not sure what the exact quote was, so I can't say 100%. But I was already under the impression before reading this article that River was coming back for at least one episode.
Yeah, I fear her return no matter what anyways.
Yeah.
But we could really
I'm
move on.
hoping not, because really that's the same old, and I'd really like to get done with the same old. Okay, so let's move on since we've spent about 15 minutes talking about that.
Yeah, different direction, we'll see. Next thing,
and
Time Lord timelines. And, oh my god, is Matt Smith's total mess.
Yeah,
see if I can actually load this.
Now, I don't 100%. I mean, well, let me give the pros before I bitch about it, because this obviously was a lot of hard work. If I can get it to work time. I mean, they definitely did a good job in making it visually appealing, and it's pretty inclusive in terms of television stories. All 12 incarnations of the Doctor so far. It definitely keeps up the visual aesthetic that New Who has been going with. You know, I'm not sure how to really describe what I'm saying there, but it definitely looks good, and clearly some graphic designers earned their pay on this. Am I still connected?
Why is there so few Tom Baker?
He doesn't really enter into our timeline a lot. To be quite honest, he hardly ever visits our Earth during our timeline. He did a lot of adventures other places.
But they don't even list, like, or maybe they do. Let me see.
There's Pyramids in Mars. He was obviously there for that. Here for that.
No, they don't even show the Terror of the Zygons.
Was that on Earth?
Yes, it was in Scotland. It's also known as Doctor Who and the Loch Ness Monster. It was the last real unit episode.
Do we see him? Because going by what this is, do we see him travel in the TARDIS during that episode? That
he
might
arrives,
He arrives.
and he leaves.
be arrived, so then it should be on here, and if it's not, then
Yeah, they completely missed that one by the look of it.
And actually, now that you say that, I am seeing that according to this, the Fourth Doctor has only traveled in the TARDIS 6 times on television, which I can't imagine that would be right.
Well, again, this is me saying that this is obviously his encounters on their encounters on Earth. They are for sure missing 1 or 2.
They're missing a few, because there's also at least a couple episodes where he tries to get to the grand opening of the Blackpool Pavilion and fails.
Shada's not on here either.
Now, Shada's unofficial because of the fact that it was never actually aired. It was never finished filming. So Shada, I could understand. But the little bits where he starts on Earth and goes someplace else,
they should be there. And this brings to the negative I was going to bring up, which is it's fairly minor, but crossovers. At least most Doctors do not have the 5 Doctors on it. I think only the main 3 have Day of the Doctor on them. And I'm trying to see if the 3 Doctors.
Well, the 5 Doctors, as far as I'm aware, doesn't. Well, it was maybe little parts from some of the other Doctors. They don't happen on Earth.
This is 5 Doctors does not actually happen on Earth. So
for the majority of it, yes.
Yeah, shouldn't be on here.
Definitely should not be on the 5th Doctor. It should it should appear on the 2nd Doctor, if any.
The 3 Doctors, they weren't actually traveling in the TARDIS.
The 6th Doctors is ridiculous, by the way. And it shows exactly 2 episodes: Attack of the Cybermen and Time Lash.
Yeah, I was thinking there should have been more.
And there should have been Mark of the Rani, which happened in 1800s.
The 2 Doctors.
The 2 Doctors, which was in Spain. And I think there was at least one more.
Okay, so there's quite a bit missing here. The crossovers aren't the most important part of that then.
Yeah. Well, it's not even just the crossovers. There's a couple of them here and there that's like, okay, you didn't even try, because there's obviously an Earth episode here, an Earth episode there.
Now, that said from...
Now, I understand if it's, ancient Earth, or if it's far future Earth, but there's stuff that happens within this essentially 1800 to 2050 timeline.
And it does look like pretty much from the 7th Doctor on is where they put most of their work, because that does seem to be pretty complete.
Still.
The 1st Doctor is probably pretty accurate as well. So it's mainly the middle where it's...
Yeah, it seems to be like the middle 5 that they kind of screw it.
Scenes of Death, Evil of the Daleks, the Highland. Why is the Highlanders in here? Oh, I guess going to.
What do you mean, why is the Highlanders in here? Obviously, he was in the Highlands.
It's in the past.
Yes, but that was 17th or 16th century England. It's before this timeline.
According to this line, it started somewhere in the late 1980s and then traveled to the past.
That's why I said going to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The invasion.
I don't think we quite. This is on. I think it's created by the BBC. It's on DoctorWho.tv.
I don't know if that's actually the BBC.
And actually, is that the same link as the one?
Nope. It's from BBC Worldwide. So.
Oh, there we go. There's multiple URLs for it. That's because the original link I gave you had BBC in the URL. That's what confused me. The short link is bbc.in/TimeLordTimelines, and that'll get you right there.
Yeah, the Doctor, the War Doctor, 9th Doctor.
The 8th Doctor has the 8th Doctor has all of his full-length televised stories on it.
Yeah.
That wasn't very hard, and if they got that wrong, we'd have to kick them in the teeth.
Unfortunately, they didn't even bother to include anything related to Big Finish or novelizations or anything else, but I guess they have a bit of work to do before trying that stuff.
And the 11th Doctor is so messed up, I couldn't even begin to tell you if that's accurate. And the 11th Doctor is even worse.
The reason that is because the 11th Doctor kept going back to Earth to pick up his companions.
Well, and then so like if you look at the description of like Rings of Akaten, it's including like if you use it as a taxi driving within the same timeline to move 100 feet, 1,000 feet, they're counting it. So
no, because the timeline is only counting where it's affecting Earth between this period. So it's either going to or going from or moving within.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that nearly every Matt Smith episode is in this because every episode, it was like with Clara, Matt Smith would pick up Clara to go time traveling every Wednesday.
I'm trying to think
and
now. Actually,
with Amy and Rory, he would take them on a few trips, drop them off, and then they would spend 5-6 months at home, and then they'd pick them up again.
Now, I'm looking at the image that they say for Rings of Akaten is the most voyages within a single episode, and I'm trying to figure out when they travel to all of those periods in that episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the fuck they're talking. The stats at the bottom, I think, aren't.
Most voyages. Unless you're counting the rides in the scooter, no. There's not that much traveling.
Even that, where the hell is Akaten? It's not, I didn't think, in this timeline. It was a
according
different
actually, I just found it. I'm with the mouse. Rings of Akaten. What the hell? It's a loop from the 90s, from the the 80s into the early 2000s.
Oh, it's from when Matt Smith is stalking her.
That's not a Rings of Akaten, then.
I thought that was the mini-sode, though.
I think they're including it.
Oh, that's right. No, that's right. He did do a little montage at the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, where he's like reading the magazine and watching that. No, that was a pre-released scene, but it was part of the episode.
All right.
No, technically it was not part of the episode, but it was a little short thing that they did film and release extra just for online.
So they're counting. So the entire stalking of Clara's parents and her through her life is causing Rings of Akaten to have
7 jumps. Yeah.
Like 7 or 8 jumps. Yeah.
It's not counting the actual travel to Akaten because we don't know when that is.
It's not counting the actual travel to Akaten, although I wouldn't be surprised if there's a loop somewhere. No, I don't see a loop that says he's leaving, but yeah, it's essentially just counting a little extra side travel at the very beginning before we got to plot, where he's being the stalker.
And we don't actually see the TARDIS travel in that. It just cuts to the future. So
cut to the future a couple more years, cut to the future a couple more years, cut to the future a couple dozen years.
Bella St. John has them going now.
Did we just lose Bill?
Yes, we did.
Yep. So we're waiting on Bill to come back.
I think whoever built this is truly didn't do all their research.
Yeah, not all of it. There's a good amount of it, but definitely not all of it.
They're anal retentive on some people and really lackadaisical on others.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, this between the 2nd and the 6th seems to have a lot of gaps. Although the 3rd, it's hard to tell because he was on Earth for so dang long.
Yeah, and they're not counting those episodes because he's just traveling linearly.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really take much stock in this.
Yeah.
It was made as a publicity thing by BBC Worldwide, and
while it's nice and artistic, it's still not finished by a long shot.
No, it's not.
So, moving on.
Yep.
Next article. Neil Osman. Oh, the miniature effects. Do we want to talk about those? I think we
No,
wanted to skip that.
no, that was just something I noticed.
It's still a cool little thing to note that we found out about.
I had noticed during the week and mentioned to Bill that a lot of the special effects for the 50th anniversary were done with the actual released toys.
Apparently they got
The
some of
stuff
the
that you
voice
could
acted.
The stuff you could buy yourself. They modded them a little bit, but not too badly.
Oh, there he is. I was just about to
Hey, we
add
got
you.
a Bill back.
All right. What did I miss?
We pretty
were
much
done.
just poo-pooed on the line, saying that it's definitely not done yet, and we're just very quickly mentioning the miniatures because it was on my list.
Because Matt brought it up, and we're moving on from there.
Yeah, essentially they used some of the medium-sized models of Daleks, enhanced them a little bit, added miniature sets, and made them go boom. And
So
then we're on to the last article.
What you can do with miniature filming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was cool that they used the actual toys instead of building their own little minis for it.
Yeah.
They had to alter them still, but yeah, the basics were there.
It means that the toys are pretty much accurate enough for their model work, which is really nice.
Doctor Who poll results: who is the best companion that ever was, or that never was? What?
It's
the people that kind of sort of don't count as companions.
Right.
People that either don't count as companions and I can tell you that some of these are actually considered companions, at least as far as the BBC is concerned.
Number
For
12,
instance, number
Adam
12,
Michael.
Adam Mitchell, Bruno Langley.
Yeah, he technically counts as a companion, even though he's a
he
putz.
traveled once.
He's a
and
putz.
Bruno Langley
once.
was allowed
Twice.
to sit with the companions at the after party.
He traveled twice, actually. He had to go travel home.
Oh, that's true.
So technically he traveled twice.
I forgot this poll was only Classic Who.
You mean
only New Who?
I mean only New Who, yeah, sorry.
Really? It's only New Who? Then it's a really lousy poll.
Yes, it is.
It would have been nice to see like Sarah Kingdom on there or someone.
John Redfern from Human Nature and Family of Blood. She would have been interesting, I guess, maybe. Depends on how they would do her.
Yeah, and they're really, really pushing on some of these companions.
Jackson Lake.
I will agree that Brian Williams, a.k.a. Rory's dad, would have made one hell of a companion.
Oh, yeah. He already proved that in the short amount of time he already was a companion.
I would have loved to have seen more episodes with Bernard Crimmins, personally.
Yeah.
Because I just like him.
Jackson Lake, he was okay, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Linda Moss, she's definitely not a companion. She never traveled.
Oh, they wound us up on it, though.
They did try to wind us up on it a little bit.
Everything getting up, and then she dies. And, I do have to give them props because they actually killed her.
Yeah, they at least actually killed her in order to prevent it, instead of just running off.
Which one?
The nice Linda from Bad Wolf.
And yeah.
Oh yes. Oh well, you see, if she was a Moffat companion, she wouldn't have died.
That's kind of what I mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have just run off and forgotten.
Except for Madame, just because we know she died in real life, so she had to die in the episode.
What?
I said except for Madame de Pompadour, who since we knew she died in real life, she had to die in the episode. I completely
missed the Madame de Pompadour. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And they killed Astrid Perth too, which was, also kind of a nice shocker thing to do.
Rita, I don't know who this person is.
I don't think.
Was that late sixth season? That was probably late sixth season, wasn't it?
It was very late sixth season.
Yep, don't care. Astrid, meh. She didn't really grip me that hard.
No, but what I mean is it's nice the fact that they actually killed her, so...
Yeah, again, at least they actually had the guts to kill her.
Yeah, a lot of people really like Astrid and count her as a fully bona fide companion, and I'm just like, she's just a side character he ran into there.
She was another character that he was almost ready to travel with, but never got a chance to.
Right.
Let's see here. Canton Everett Delaware III.
From the
Impossible
series.
Astronaut, sixth season again.
It's the sixth season guy. He was okay. He was kind of an interesting character, but yeah, then we get to Brian Williams, who was nice.
Oh yeah, Brian Williams. I would have loved to have seen more Brian Williams.
And yeah, a lot of fans. We've mentioned Madame Pompadour, so I'm skipping that one. A lot of fans want to see more Craig.
Now I've got a counter proposal to number 6 there, and that's I think he would if Torchwood was still active as of 2012 or so, I think he would have done better as like a 2 or 3 episode cameo there than as an actual companion to the Doctor. What do you think?
Maybe.
I would have liked to have actually, if they were running Torchwood, would have loved to seen him as a companion for an episode or two, get dropped off in modern day, because remember, he was from the 60s.
Right. Oh, that's right. Oh, it's him. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. He was in a different episode.
And then wind up on Torchwood.
That worked.
In almost kind of a reverse Life on Mars scenario. If you don't know, Life on Mars, a police detective from modern day, winds up back in the 70s. So this would be the reverse of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would love to have seen Brian Williams. Madame de Pompadour? Not really. She has a continuity. Craig Owens, that's the Cyberman episode I haven't seen yet. I swear to God I will see it one of these days.
Yes, but he was also in the season before. The Lodger. The guy that Matt Smith comes and lives with for a while.
I must be missing parts of season 5 too, because I don't recall him.
That was the companion light episode of series 5.
Yeah.
Still not ringing bells for me.
I
must be missing small chunks of 5 somewhere. Jenny, we've been screaming we need more Jenny for years now. And it's
yes, we have.
Happen. And as I said, if she would stop bearing the Doctor's children, she could be on Doctor Who more.
Maybe.
You can say lines like that, Bill, and yet you're squicked out by non-existent nudity in an episode.
It doesn't mean it wasn't existent.
Oh, and Sally. Oh my God, yeah, I would love to have seen another appearance of her.
She's always possible, because that was a Moffat episode, so...
Well, it's not only that it was a Moffat episode, it was also the first freaking episode of The Angels. Oh my God, that episode.
When the Angels were actually frightening.
And
not eye-roll worthy.
She could be part of the fresh new direction by adding more old Moffat characters.
I would actually vote Jenny over Sally, because that was left so deliberately open-ended.
Yes, it was with Jenny.
And I think this article mentions apparently it was Moffat's idea to have her semi-regenerate instead of dying. So apparently he wants to use her.
And yet he hasn't had the brain cells to do it. Apparently.
Well, she has
either that or yeah, it's because Georgia Moffat's been busy with David Tennant. Thank you, Matt.
Giggity giggity. Anywho,
I don't know. Has she actually been acting at all recently?
Maybe short, small roles here or there.
Count the scene in the Five-ish Doctors reboot where she was lying in the hospital bed.
Oh, that's right. Because wasn't she having another kid at that point?
Just about, yes.
On May 2nd, 2013, yes. Do you know what they named their kid?
Now what?
Wilfred. Wilf.
Nice.
David Tennant is that much of a Doctor Who geek.
Well,
God, I miss that man. Fortunately, Capaldi is just as much of a Doctor Who geek, and I'm going to appreciate that.
I'm trying to get the Wilfred reference.
Wilfred Mott, Bernard Cribbin's character, Donna's grandfather.
Oh! Wow. Okay.
Low Lerner, Matt.
Horrible with names. You have to dumb it down for me. I'm terrible with names.
I just saw that they gave birth to the couple's son, Wilfred. I'm just like, oh my god. You didn't, David. You did. You must.
You monster. You overgrown fanboy.
I just think that's awesome. Could have been worse. He could have named him Jack. But I don't think
actually, does this mean that if he has a daughter, he's going to name it Jenny?
They already have a daughter.
Oh, God.
Whose name was Olive, by the way. Nothing to do with Doctor Who.
So wait, then he's a Popeye fan.
Yes. It was actually starting to run through my mind at the same time.
It ran through my mind earlier, but I rejected it.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised if he didn't name his daughter Sarah.
Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
I was thinking
It
of
would've been
another
awesome.
timeline, but yeah. That's also very much a possibility. They also could name a daughter Romana. But that'd be really on the face.
Yeah, it would be.
Granted, it wouldn't be any worse than all these people naming, what's that Game of Thrones name that people have been giving their kids?
Which
I
one?
have no clue.
There's probably like a dozen of them, dude.
It was like
I pay zero attention to Game of Thrones. I saw I saw 2 of the 3 episodes of South Park that kind of took a go at Game of Thrones. That's really all I need to know.
But I guess like the title that means queen in the Game of Thrones universe, a lot of people have been naming their daughters that.
Yeah, good luck, people. Well, we are down to just about our last hour, so shall we begin our topic of the evening?
Yeah, I think that was all we had.
Yeah, that is the last article, and
Yep.
we've been kind of circling around since then.
Just give us a moment here to throw Matt a couple more brains.
I'll be very brief on
Right.
this because it was kind of brought up, but Sherlock Series 3 has started, and I think it's half over. I think it's only 3 episodes. I might be wrong. I think I'm the only one here who's been watching it, so I'll just say not bad, but way too close to Doctor Who. Moffat really needs to back the hell off.
He needs to choose one or the other and deal with it.
That said, if you're a third Doctor fan and have been wishing that
The 11th
someone
Doctor fan, you mean?
Huh?
You mean 11th Doctor fan?
No. If you've been wishing for someone to do a remake of The Green Death, you might be interested in the latest episode of Sherlock. Just saying.
Wah, wah, wah.
Only without the giant killer maggots, I take it.
Right.
I can tell you, you can watch The Green Death at the age of 6 and never ever want to see a maggot again. Ever.
Probably.
Speaking from personal experience, Randy.
Speaking from personal experience, yes.
Never thought I'd fire a dreaded caterpillar.
Okay, so moving on to our best moment of the Doctor. We are taking 11 best moments, one from each Doctor. We're ignoring Capaldi at this point because the best moments would have been one of 2.
Let's put that out there now. Are we ignoring her?
I would. That's debatable because Hertz
Yeah.
only really had 1 episode.
Yeah, he's only really had the 1 episode, but he had a lot of really good moments based on the other Doctors around him, though, too.
Right.
I will include the War Doctor. I actually have one.
Okay. Yeah, I can throw in for that.
We might all wind up with the same moment, but that may happen anyway.
Or we might have multiple options and try and weigh which one we want more, depending on
Okay,
whether or
so
not someone else mentions it.
we'll be giving you 12. Our
12!
our standing is that a doctor must have a full complete episode to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt counts because he had one episode.
Capaldi does not count because he's had about 10 seconds of screen time.
Correct. And this also means that the 8th Doctor barely qualifies having the movie.
Yep.
And a webisode.
Now that said, I'm including at least one audio in my list. I have to pull up the list again, but so that it's not going to be screen exclusive.
Oh, we're including audio in this?
Yeah, I did mention that in our Skype chat at one point.
Okay, that'll change my 8th Doctor one.
Okay.
Everyone else has other 8th Doctor things.
Okay. Okay, the rest of my list stays intact. So we'll start with William Hartnell, First Doctor. You guys want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. My favorite moment is the end of the Dalek invasion of Earth. The Doctor's speech to Susan. It is also one of the most quoted bits, but it is, to me, one of the most emotional moments in the series, at least Hartnell's chunk of it.
Did you see that before you first saw the Five Doctors, or did you first see the Five Doctors as a kid? And
I cannot remember. I didn't see them that far apart. But for me, it's not just that part of the quote that you see in there. It's pretty much from the moment he locks the doors on Susan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entirety of Invasion of Earth scene, not just the one in the Five Doctors.
Gotcha.
Not just I shall come back. It's the entire scene.
And I believe Bill wants me to go first before he goes.
And I would like to add one more thing. It is one of Bill Hartnell's acting great moments before he started to degrade, where you can actually see, the hesitation, the trial, and the decision in his eyes. So I thought that's a great moment for me.
It was also one of the moments that we could definitely tell that, God damn it, I'm terrible with names, that we could distinguish Filch's actor, I can never remember his name properly, from Hartnell in Adventure in Space and Time.
Yeah, he had the wrong inflections in there.
Douglas Bradley, is that his name?
I don't know. I don't know real names.
It doesn't quite sound right. Bradley sounds right, but not the first part.
David Bradley.
David Bradley. Okay.
I
Yep.
wasn't too far off.
So Matt, what's your favorite moment?
Oh, can I actually add a runner-up, if possible?
Go ahead.
My runner-up to this would have been essentially the time when they had their first real. They had an episode where they saw like a version of their future selves, and they tried to undo what was going to happen to them. It was at a space museum of some sort.
The Space Museum. That was the name of the episode.
Okay, so it was called Space Museum. All right, and one of the parts I really liked in that particular story was one where the Doctor actually hides inside of a Dalek and escapes the enemies.
Okay.
It was an amusing moment, but again, favorite moment has to be Dalek Invasion of Earth, and as me and Bill talked about earlier, I really liked the part where William finally becomes the first Doctor as we know him, because he finally decides to take on the Daleks himself.
Okay.
He starts laying down threats, telling them that they've not really completely taken over the Earth, and that they've only invaded and they're not going to keep a foothold here, essentially. That's very much where he became the strong grandfatherly Doctor that we know and love.
That's when he really goes from being the Doctor who helps because he has to and becomes a doctor, and he's like, "No, damn it, Daleks are gone. I'm saving the Earth now."
Mm-hmm.
And those were two moments that I strongly considered, and I'm going to go in the same vein, also Dalek invasion of Earth, and I'm going to go with when the Doctor does his Dalek impression and thereby gets over the Roboman.
It's a lot better than Barbara's.
Yes.
And yeah, the
Yes.
Doctor actually pulls off a good skeleton impression at that point.
Actually, yeah, I did see that clip not too long ago. I think I saw it on YouTube.
The Doctor essentially throws Barbara out of the way. He's like, "All right, let me do this." And just
I considered that scene, by the way, Bill.
Say again?
I considered that scene.
Mm.
But I'm kind of doing this kind of on a theme. So
that serial is really full of great moments. There's a reason why
it is one of the best serials.
Did all three of us pick it for the favorite First Doctor serial?
I think we did, yes.
Yes.
So no real surprises there.
We just liked different parts of it the most.
I would actually like to have a runner-up, and this was one I had thought of before Invasion of Time, and that's from An Unearthly Child. His original speech to Ian and Barbara on how it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension. That whole speech itself.
Mm-hmm.
That one is my runner-up. So, now that we've each had those, we can move on to the second Doctor.
Yes, we can.
And I will let you two go before choosing mine.
Oh, goodness. Which means that Bill will probably shoot me into doing it first.
I'll go because probably have less familiarity with the second Doctor than I really should. So
You probably do, yes.
I'm actually going to choose a well-known speech from an episode I haven't seen yet because I have seen this speech and it really does.
You're probably doing the exact same one I was.
The same one I am.
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
The famous speech from the moon base.
Nope, not mine.
No, I wish I'd saved some of the exact wording. I wrote there are some corners of the universe, but that's not a sentence. But there's essentially where he says that there are things worth fighting, and that's how this Doctor is defining himself as the person who stands up to them.
I'm looking up because I believe this is the same quote I was going to go with.
From the moon base?
Page collection. Okay, I think I found something that has it. There are some corners in the universe which have bred the most terrible things. Things that act against everything we believe in, things that must be fought.
Yes, there you go. That's the wording I was just looking for.
Yeah, that's a very popular speech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very darn good one, too.
Not the one I chose, however.
Okay.
I chose the Doctor's plea speech to the Time Lords at the end of the War Games, which is on a very similar vein.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The plea that there is evil in the universe and it must be fought and it must be stood up against. And it's the one that changed his sentence from death to exile. And according to the Apocrypha, is what basically got the Time Lords to become more involved in things. That's the speech I was thinking of.
So what you're saying is the second Doctor created the Celestial Intervention Agency.
According to Apocrypha, yes.
Hmm.
Or at least got them to become more mobile.
But I'm actually not seeing that speech, but I know of what you speak of.
Yes, I don't remember the details of the speech. It's been too long since I have seen the War Games in its entirety. You know, because it's a freaking long serial.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I'll
Yeah.
have to rewatch it prior to our review of it.
10 episodes, right?
10 or 12, something like that.
So
Jesus.
which makes it the second longest unless you count Trial.
Right. Yeah, it's a freaking huge episode. And it's that particular speech has always stuck out in my head. Which, I guess, moves on to the third Doctor. And, Matt, you can go first. I will follow.
I will go first. Okay. Oh, there's actually a lot of really good third ones.
There's a lot of good scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just trying to narrow it down in my head is just like, okay, where do I begin? There's stuff about him learning Venusian Aikido, actually using it. There's stuff where he's trying to do... one of the ones I do recall is the moment where he tried to undo time manipulation that the Master was doing by essentially piecing together an experiment they used to do in school and screwing with the Master's time freeze. And undoing it was one of the really good ones I recall. But also, the one one of the scenes that I really recall a lot too is where he's being cornered by guards and they're like, "Hey, Grandpa, where do you think you're going?" "Oh, I'm quite spry for my age, actually." "Oh, great!" And it goes into a whole-out karate fight with the third Doctor.
I think that was in the Green Death.
Ponying like 3 or 4 guys.
I think that was when he was breaking into the factory that held the boss.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the Green Death or not, but it's just one of those moments that you're like, oh, it's gonna happen. Yes!
I think that I'm quite spry for my age line is from the Green Death.
Yeah, I think it is too. My choice is actually from Death to the Daleks. It is a speech that he said, and he kind of did a pastiche of it in the Five Doctors as well. It's him overcoming the mind games being played by the city. Saying that it is just an illusion and what you're seeing is not real. And for some reason, just the tone and the power in his voice is what I really remember from that scene.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Bill? Third Doctor.
For the third Doctor, mine actually is... I believe this is the end of Terror of the Autons. I might be mistaken, but essentially the Doctor and the Master really shake hands or whatever at the end of the episode, and it's essentially, "This was fun, we should do this again." To greatly paraphrase.
Okay.
Or they essentially agree to be arch enemies in order to match wits against one another.
Okay. So, each of us have taken a turn going first, middle, and last, if I recall.
Just about, yeah.
So, I guess it comes around to me starting again for the fourth Doctor?
Sure.
Alright, I will choose Genesis of the Daleks. The scene in the mutant breeding room where Tom Baker is holding the 2 pieces of wire and having a monologue debate on whether he has the right.
Yeah, that's...
Do I have the right?
My mind, yeah. I think that's actually the heaviest moment in the entire Fourth Doctor era as well.
It might be one of the heaviest moments, period.
Yeah, pretty much. Because even as he puts in that particular sequence, it's a matter of destroying something that will cause thousands upon millions of deaths, but at the same time undoing the fact that these same monsters will cause so many other people to join one another in a fight to stop them.
Yeah,
and that's really a huge time point where you gotta go, do you really have the right to do it?
Very dramatic moment.
And in the end, the choice was not his.
Yep. He hesitated too long, and the choice got away from him. I find it funny. The Genesis of the Daleks is one of my favorite episodes. It's one of the Doctor's greatest failures, too.
Yeah. Although, if Day of the Doctor is anything to go by, the ultimate choice he made would have been the same one as what happened anyway.
Possibly. Okay.
I've actually got let me start with a mild anecdote. I once read that there are many episodes where the best thing about them is Tom Baker and Lalla Ward just eating up airtime, quipping at one another, and everything goes to hell once they open the TARDIS doors. And to that end, I'm going to say the introduction to Destiny of the Daleks is probably my favorite moment with the Fourth Doctor.
that little piece of Douglas Adams fluff.
So, from the robot with laryngitis to, oh look, there's rocks. Everything in there, that scene had, granted, so much of it makes no sense, but at the same time, it had me dying.
It was basically Douglas Adams writing it with 3 hours notice.
Yeah. That's why I can kind of forgive it not making sense. Also, the fact that it was just that damn entertaining for such a short scene.
Okay. And then it's down to me. And there's still a ton of really good ones to pick for Fourth Doctor, too. There's the childish quote, which has come up actually recently again. As a matter of fact, actually, here's a picture of it. Well, of course I'm being childish. There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
Robot.
Which was from his first episode, Robot. There's the sequence where he actually threatened a native with a jelly baby. That was also a bit amusing. And then he just ate it anyways when they were telling him, go ahead, kill him. Take me to your leader. Gosh. But yeah, the childish quote definitely does seem to pop up quite a bit lately.
Which is interesting because it's a more popular rehash of a Third Doctor quote.
Slightly, yes. But it's not the exact wording either.
No, it's not exact, but you can... the fact that he had just recently regenerated probably had a lot to do with the fact that why he said such a similar quote.
Possibly. Oh, I'm just paging through stuff now. But yeah, I really liked... Tom is definitely way up there, and he's got some really good quotes.
Well, this isn't just quotes; it's scenes too. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good scenes. There's,
there's several things I thought of. I thought of mentioning there's some great visual scenes in Talons of Wang Chiang with the Doctor in a frickin' deerstalker cap.
I believe you're trying to get my attention after someone throws an axe at him.
I'll mention that my runner-up was probably the famous scene from Pyramids of Mars. Where I'm a Time Lord, I walk in eternity scene.
Mm-hmm. That's another really good quote. The first one with Leela, I think it was, I want to say Mind of Evil, but no, that's the Third Doctor. The one where they think the Fourth Doctor's the Master, and he's actually part of his mind, I think, is part of a evil computer that's gone schizophrenic. I just remember that entire story was a really good one when I've sat through.
Was it the first one with Leela?
Yeah, as I said, it was the first one with Leela.
Yeah, the Face of Evil.
Face of Evil, that's what it was. See, it's really similar title to Brain of Evil, and it kind of copied his memories as well as his
Evil has a lot of body parts in Doctor Who.
There are a lot of body parts mentioned in Doctor Who.
So
there's mind, hand, and face. In that order.
Yeah, mine. Face of Evil was definitely another really good one. There's a lot of really good moments, and the fact that the Doctor is essentially fighting a robotic version of himself at the very end.
You know,
is not something you see every day.
That's the thing. Tom Baker has a lot of really good throwaway lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even little bits that you just suddenly pause and say stuff. And this was because he was allowed to add this kind of stuff into the script.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one point him pausing and going, "I can feel my hair curling. That means I'm onto something, or it's going to rain."
I think I remember that, but I don't know what.
I do vaguely remember.
I don't remember what it's from. I remember that line to this day, but it's a completely toss-away line.
Well, there's like a completely toss-away line in Face of Evil too, where he's trying to essentially hypnotize a guy to do something that he wanted him to do for the leader for the tribe, Leela's tribe. And then the guy kind of responds back, actually saying the Doctor instead of the Master or whatever. And the Doctor kind of paused for half a moment as he's about to walk away. He's like, He just like, never mind, and keeps walking.
Another. Have we all listed our favorite Fourth Doctor scenes already?
Pretty much.
Did Bill too?
That scene was from The Deadly Assassin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But did both of you list yours?
Yes.
Because there's one other scene I want to mention. It is near the end of the Key to Time trilogy.
Okay.
Where the Doctor has his hands on the Key to Time.
Oh, yeah.
And he almost goes Gollum on it.
Mm-hmm. And starts freaking out Romana.
Yes, because it's like... Oh,
because I have the key to time!
Do you like it, Romana? Yes, it's lovely. Because if not, I could make you love it. I could make you do this. And his eyes rolled up back in his head. It's like, Doctor, are you alright? Of course I am, but what if I wasn't?
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely perfect Tom Baker. It was what made him such a great Doctor. It's a lot of that, just that off-the-wall stuff. Alright, we can move on now to Peter Davidson. I'll let you guys go first.
Peter Davidson. Oh man, the man did so well putting up those rubber suits.
Yeah, it was about the time that the budget on Doctor Who was really showing.
Yeah.
Again. I have to say, because it was also the first story of his I saw, I think one of my favorite moments is from Earthshock. And I think that's around the point where he was getting separated from most of the companions and being taken off to TARDIS because he was, for the first time in a really long time, he wasn't sure what was going to happen to his companions anymore. And in fact, he did lose one of them at the very end of the story.
Okay.
It just shows that he's quite the emotional Doctor compared to a lot of the previous ones. And he's quite fond of all of his companions, even though he didn't always see eye to eye with them.
Alright.
Okay.
Bill, what about yours?
Mine was, and this is actually one of the first Fifth Doctor scenes that I've seen, even though I didn't finish watching the serial until months later. And that is the scene where he's explaining to Perry why he wears celery on his lapel.
From the Caves of Androzani.
Caves of Androzani, yep.
Which is also where my quote comes, or where my scene comes from, but it's a different scene. Go ahead. Just that the whole thing that at the in the presence of certain gases in the Praxis spectrum, the celery turns purple. What happens then? I eat the celery. If nothing else, it's good for my teeth.
Yes.
By the way, I know a little bit about that celery stick, by the way. I actually saw an interview with Peter Davidson, and apparently he said okay to the celery because they just wanted to add it because he had eaten a little bit of it in his first episode, in his first story. And he's like, I'll do it, I'll keep one in my lapel, but you better come up with an explanation for it.
And they finally did in his last episode.
Exactly. He's like, you know what? You get promised me, you got it.
The explanation was post-regeneration sickness. He's just looking at the celery and says, hey, that would make a good fashion statement.
Definitely sign of civilization.
Definitely signs of civilization. He takes a big bite of it, and they cut before he spits it back out. Because he hates celery actually.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is also from Caves of Androzani. It is his execution scene.
Ah. Yes.
Where they're getting him trussed up for execution.
Yeah.
And because it's the first time I remember seeing his character actually fully outraged. He was actually pissed.
Which was hard to do.
Yeah, it was not something you saw often from
that's
Peter Davidson.
right. Yeah, he was pretty much a laid-back doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Except for when he got sad, and then the one occasion where he got angry.
And of course, the Caves of Androzani moves us on to Colin Baker.
Now, since you mentioned rubber suits earlier, and we've been talking about Caves of Androzani, I have to say, it's really sad that the main thing I remember about that episode is that everything looks gorgeous, the cinematography, the directing, everything, and then all of a sudden, this rubber suit monster comes out, and because everything else is filmed so well, it just looks that much faker, and completely takes me out of the story.
They had to deal with the budget of what they had, but that came for a monster. They didn't have the chance to CGI it back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
And even then, the CGI would have been probably piss poor if they did have a budget for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI, if you can call it CGI, the CGI of the 80s episodes is nothing to be proud of.
Well, yeah. No, even most American shows would avoid CG if possible during the 80s.
Yes, this is especially 1984. Later 80s, you could see CGI. Early 80s and mid 80s, no. Not on TV.
I think
Star Trek: The Next Generation proved to TV that you could do CGI on a TV budget. But before then, no.
I think Remembrance of the Daleks had the best classic Who CGI, and even that was
touch and go.
Right.
Okay, Colin Baker.
The jacket, the man, the mystery.
What is your favorite Colin Baker scene?
Mine is... Since we're doing Caves of Androzani, I'll go first.
Alright.
Because, to me, he started off with his best scene. Well, the best scene, and that's his scene with Perry. The, you were expecting someone else, the 3 eyes in one breath makes you sound rather egotistical. That...
What happened changed, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon. God, even those lines were just dripping with ego.
Yeah. The delivery of those lines was absolutely perfect. That's 3 eyes in one breath. Makes you
an egotistical young lady? Yeah.
He's just kind of looking around and then examining his own clothes, kind of going, ugh.
How did I have such bad taste?
And then he picks the rainbow jacket.
Yes. Okay, my favorite scene is actually from the other end of the spectrum. It is from, I believe, the first arc in Trial of a Time Lord. It is when he discovers the Time Lords had actually abducted Earth, moved it, causing huge, catastrophic failure to the planet, and renamed it Ravelox. His thunderous outrage and the I have traveled the universe for centuries fighting evil. I should have stayed at home.
Yeah, I do remember that as well.
I thought that was the last serial of the story. No.
Yeah, I thought that was later on.
It's whenever he finds out that that Earth and Ravelox are the same is when that happens.
Is that the same speech as the millions of years of absolute power? That's what it takes to become truly corrupt.
Totally corrupt. Yes, that's the next part of it.
That's part of the. Well, I don't know if you could.
I think it's like the third to the last episode or so of the Trial of Time Lords run.
Depending on whether you split the last 2 serials of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last, depending.
That is my favorite speech of his.
It is a darn good one, too. I will go with, gosh, what was it?
We've taken the beginning and the end. Now you have to find something in the middle.
Well, that's easy. Resurrection of the Daleks, I think it's called. I think it was Resurrection. There's so many R's. It's cheesy Dalek names. Resurrection of Daleks. His Dalek episode.
Remembrance.
Yeah, 7th was Remembrance.
Uh-huh.
So I believe it was 6 that was Resurrection.
Resurrection
Yes.
was Davison.
Oh.
Resurrection. It is Revelation.
Revelation of the Daleks. It was an R. It was one of those R's.
And you remember them.
Yeah, the having 3 Dalek episodes in a row called R of the Daleks was not the brightest move that they ever made.
No, and the fact that they all sound like cheesy B-movie titles doesn't help them either.
No, it doesn't.
I
I have a hard time distinguishing between power and evil of the Daleks. I keep getting them confused.
I do too, yeah. What would you have done if Russell T Davies had had Rise of the Daleks?
Ugh.
I would have been able to deal with that because it is so far removed from this stuff.
Got you.
And it would have and Rise is a 1-syllable word, whereas you've got Resurrection, Revelation, and Remembrance. 2 4s and a 3.
Recognition of the Daleks. There you go.
That would have hurt a little more.
That would have been terrible.
Ugh. But yeah, Revelation was definitely one of his better episodes. And the fact that he kind of got helped. He encountered a bunch of guys who really wanted to become heroes in their own right, and even though he fought with them a little bit, he realized they were actually there to help. And they actually had a huge fight between almost all 4 guys and Davros.
You're just glad that stroppy Australian got off the TARDIS.
Well, she actually had her own little thing, didn't she?
That was
Yeah, she actually met the DJ guy, and they had a laser fight with the Daleks.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my Dalek episodes, which we had just been talking about doing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going.
Yep, I'm going to the wrong Dalek episode.
I can't stand that episode because I can't stand that DJ.
Actually, I found the DJ to be cheesy and corny, but yeah, he made up for the cheesy corniness by actually being a somewhat clever guy who actually defended himself from at least a couple of dogs before fighting the big one.
Let me change my statement. Still have it work in context. You're just picking it because of that jacket's not around.
I like the blue jacket. Yeah. The blue jacket's fine by me. Actually, yeah, the entire story, he did have the jacket off, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, the blue jacket.
he had to fight for that, too.
Yeah, he had the blue cape on, which is why a lot of people do the blue jacket for him now, for the art.
That blue jacket was probably like the biggest budget thing there, considering how the budget was at that time.
I don't know. They did some new Dalek frames on that one.
They did a lot of different Dalek stuff on that one. There was some major effects going on in that one.
Yeah.
Which probably made it, with that and the cape, probably made it the most expensive episode for that season.
And now that moves us on to the 7th Doctor. And speaking of Dalek episodes, and
oh my God, that Dalek episode!
In Remembrance of the Daleks, I have to go for my favorite Sylvester McCoy bit is that scene where he confronts Davros over the screen.
That was mine as well.
It is probably the most epic scene.
I will go for the most epic cliffhanger. A Dalek coming up the stairs. Exterminate. And we zoom in on the Doctor as he's closing in on him.
The holy shit look on his face?
Yes, just the expression and the fact that we actually got a floating Dalek.
I'm going to have to go with a runner-up then and include Ace destroying a Dalek with a Time Lord-powered baseball bat.
To which the 7th Doctor did technically give it to her and said, "Go crazy."
And nobody chose one out of Remembrance of the Daleks. My runner-up was actually the ending lines from Survival.
Oh, don't get me wrong,
I haven't seen Old Sylvester yet, so I
What?
can't go there.
that is that is my favorite season, but the Remembrance of the Daleks, well, it really belongs in that season anyway, more than the one it actually was in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good episode.
But no, my runner-up was the quote from Survival. If anyone here know that quote?
If we fight like animals, we shall die like animals.
That's not the final quote. I'm looking it up now.
Okay.
There are worlds out there. It's the final line of the actual 26 season production line. There are worlds out there where the sky is burning and the seas of sleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Somewhere there's danger, somewhere there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace, we've got work to do.
I'm trying to find the full dialogue of that Davros scene.
Oh God, it is a longer scene because it's a back and forth between the Doctor and Davros.
I found the wiki quote.
The wiki quote has the last two lines of it.
I found Randy's quote.
Yeah, I said
for
that.
Randy. Got you.
And yet they have a quote right afterwards for the Doctor Who 1996 film, and the first quote for the Doctor they have in there isn't even one from Sylvester McCoy. Lies.
Yeah, not at all Sylvester McCoy. Interesting.
But anywho. I take it we're already moving on again?
Well, I guess because we can't find that full quote.
The other one that Bill's looking for, yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, the attention
yeah.
mothership. This is the Doctor speaking. President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords, keeper of the legacy of Rassilon, defender of the laws of time.
We can play the audio, but that's 3 minutes and.
Yeah, it's a long scene. It is a long dialogue bit. It is great though because the voice he has when talking to Davros is one that sticks in my mind forever.
Just the way he turns, Davros is all the Daleks shall to take the part that's on Wiki quote. The Daleks shall become lords of time. We shall become, and then the Doctor's just
all powerful, crush the lesser races, unlimited power. Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
Unlimited, yeah, I just found unlimited rice pudding. Is one that they're directing.
It's a great bit, and it's one of the things that defines the Doctor to me. Is that particular scene?
I think that's also the most it's any time Sylvester McCoy has a moment to really just blow up as the Doctor is amazing.
And he has another good one in Ghostlight where he's ranting against Jediah Smith's power grab. He starts talking about burnt toast, etc., till all the globe is pink and blows on a mock horn. Yeah, he's great when he does that, but even that speech pales to the one in Remembrance.
Right.
There's another great one in Remembrance that you guys didn't mention either. And that's his encountering the Black Dalek at the end of it. And him talking it into self-destruction.
Right.
Both of those scenes are epic. Pretty much Remembrance of the Daleks is epic from beginning to end. It is by far one of my favorite serials in Classic Who.
it's pretty much the template for which the entire following season would base the character off of.
Yeah, it was a great template.
Because that pretty much came out of nowhere. Because literally, the scene before, he showed up to get a map from a pirate to go see a dragon because he thought it would be cool. Then all of a sudden, in Remembrance of the Daleks, is pretty much like a switch flipped in him, and he's just the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To continue with taunting Davros, my Eighth Doctor is actually along a similar vein from the Big Finish audio Terra Firma. The last scene that the Doctor has with Davros is another really good Dr. Davros moment.
I have to re-listen to that one. I have not heard that particular one in a while. And I think I was half asleep when I listened to it.
That was where he essentially has made a deal with... There's a faction of the Daleks who want to make Davros, instead of being as he is, to become the Dalek Emperor, which is what he seems to become by the time of the Time War. And the Doctor, in order to essentially get rid of Davros and stop him from becoming more powerful and from defeating him, makes a deal with these Daleks. And as the Daleks are taking him away to start the operation, which he's already mentally started changing, and they're taking him away to finish that, and the Doctor is essentially taunting him about the whole situation as they drag him away.
Okay. Matt, your favorite... You don't have that many to choose from, yeah.
Other than the movie, the only other thing I've really experienced that is definitely Eighth Doctor is Light at the End. But I have to say I really liked him and the Fourth Doctor mentally thinking the Master and being essentially the linchpins of trying to counteract what the Master was doing for that story. So it was a kind of a shared moment with Tom Baker, but they were definitely the main guys for the Light at the End story.
Okay,
Without
so you're
them,
both
that
going...
whole thing will have fallen apart.
So you're both going off the video at this point. So I will go back on the video and reverse my previous decision. For my favorite would be the speech he makes to Grace when the Doctor realizes what's going on to the world, essentially. The part where he actually bends the glass and walks through it to prove that physics is breaking down.
Right. That's one when she's something like, instead of getting one room at the psych ward, get two.
Yeah, because she couldn't believe what she just saw. But that's pretty much probably one of his most epic early speeches. My runner-up will come from the audio, and that's the Doctor reciting a nursery rhyme.
Zagreus.
I've used the Zagreus quote, I think, a few times on the show before, because it is a very spooky.
Yeah.
How do you spell Zagreus?
What's that? I'm looking for it. I'm looking for the quote because my brain just died on it.
It's I know. I think it's on the Big Finish solicitation for Zagreus.
Just tell me how it's spelled.
Zagreus.
Reus. Okay, I just couldn't remember how it was spelled, and it's still not coming up on there. It's
unless I spelled it wrong.
Zagreus walks among the dead.
Oh, apparently it's an ancient Greek figure as well.
Oh, may have just found it. Zagreus sits inside your head. Zagreus lives among the dead. Zagreus sees you in your bed and eats you when you're sleeping.
I can remember the last part. Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
The Zagreus rhymes. It's insane. Zagreus at the end of days. Zagreus lies all other ways. Zagreus comes when time's a maze and all of history's weeping. Zagreus taking time apart. Zagreus fears the hero heart. Zagreus seeks the final part, the reward that he is reaping. Zagreus sings when all is lost. Zagreus takes all those he's crossed. Zagreus wins, and at all cost, the hero's hearts he's keeping. Zagreus seeks the hero's ship. Zagreus needs the web to rip. Zagreus sups time at a drip, and life aside he's sweeping. Zagreus waits at the end of the world, for Zagreus is the end of the world. His time is the end of time, and his moment time's undoing. I almost want to do that again, but I want to do it in my Orson Welles voice.
Nice.
I may have to make an audio clip of that at some point. That was my runner-up as the Zagreus rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
But okay.
And, for my runner-up, I'm going to go back onto the video, and that's 4 minutes. That's ages. What if I get bored? I need a television.
Yes.
A couple books. Chess, bring me knitting.
That is perfect Paul McGann sarcasm in the face of doom.
Mm-hmm.
Because he basically, his brain bet, I've got 4 minutes left to live. I'm fucked. But he's not going to show it. No.
I need to keep busy. Give me something to keep me busy. Got anything to keep me busy? Keep me busy.
And that
I might get bored.
That quote is, I think, why Matt's moment is so good, because Paul McGann and Tom Baker's doctors are so perfect for verbally sparring with one another, or either as a team or against each other.
There's so many different doctors that make good matchups.
Yeah.
2 and 3 and 10 and 11 are, of course, obvious now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
With their sniping, just works very well.
Sand shoes.
And especially the simultaneous stuff that Tennant and Smith did.
Right.
Send chair, cross arms, cross legs. Pick up sonic screwdrivers.
I wonder how many takes that took. Anyway, so now we're moving on into new... Well, actually, we said we were going to do the War Doctor.
Yep.
I believe yes.
And I had one earlier, and I've lost it, so... Is it my turn to go first? It is my turn to go first.
Actually, it's probably my turn because I believe I was skipped by Bill last time.
Oh. Okay, so you go ahead and go first while I try to remember my line.
So actually, yeah, which one do I want to go with? There's actually two of them I really liked from Day of the Doctor. One of which was actually officially in the video, and the other one that wasn't. So actually, I'll go with the one that was officially in the episode, where he is talking to the two other doctors. They're in the prison, and he's trying to figure them out. They all seem to be constantly glaring at him from a side like he's done something wrong and he hasn't figured it out yet. And he talks to them and he finds out that the 11th keeps forgetting everything, but it turns out that he forgets everything on purpose because it hurts him too much. Whereas the 10th Doctor is very embittered by everything that he remembers and just keeps track of it all because it's only more reason to act the way he does.
The one who regrets and the one who forgets scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, essentially.
Yep. My favorite is the scene where between where he leaves, following the resolution of the Zygon thing, and before 10 and 11 show up again, where he's about to press the button. And he has that conversation with the device, and it includes the lines, the
sound of his heart brings hope to all who hear.
Yeah, but I was thinking the earlier line, the one that's quoted a lot. Greater men are forged in fire.
Yes, it is
the duty of lesser men to light the way. Forged
or whatever.
Yeah. That that particular line seems to sum him up very well.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's probably not as good, but it's just the type of moment that I like, and it's the moment where he references Bad Wolf Girl out loud, and the 10th Doctor is just like, "What the hell?"
Just has a moment of pause.
I could get you, and the moment's like, "Yeah, that's gonna happen." The 10th Doctor's like, "Did you just say Bad Wolf?"
Yeah, that's actually later in the scene, but after the point I cut out of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My runner-up, by the way, was simply one line. By him, there was 2 lines in front of it. Geronimo! Alonzi! Oh, for God's sake! Gallifrey!
Mm-hmm.
Just his exasperation at those two. It's just...
If for my runner-up would probably be, "Oh, are you his companions? They keep getting younger and younger."
You got a runner-up line?
My runner-up was I can't remember the exact line. The sequence that was cut when they're walking up to the castle.
Oh, the one about the same.
He hasn't taken a breath since. Oh, I forget. It was like a town or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't think of it now.
All right. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and we've still got 3 doctors to cover. So 9. I will go first, and I will say that I have a crapload of lines.
Oh, there's a ton of him. For the shortest amount of time he's been on, he has almost as many as Tom Baker.
It's especially because Christopher Eccleston is one of those people who's just as good at really delivering lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I will go with near the end, and I will go with no. To the Daleks. No means no. It means I'm going to go to the ship. I'm going to rescue her. The whole epic dialogue against the Daleks there.
For mine, I wrote the beginning half of that conversation. You will obey or she will you will obey or she will be exterminated. No. Explain yourself.
That's where I started that. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the meaning of this negative? It means no. But she will be destroyed. No. That was it for me.
Just this one time, everybody lives.
That's a good one too. There was also the scene from Dalek where he's telling the Dalek what to do. And he just has that look of intense hatred on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he has spit coming out of his mouth.
Why don't you just die?
And in the same episode, the scene with when he first runs into the Dalek is just as epic too. But my runner-up actually comes from the other end of the series and Rose. And it's when she asks who he is. And he grabs her hand and he says, "You know that feeling when the Earth is spinning?"
Yeah.
That's a very epic and mysterious bit of dialogue that I've always been fond of.
For my runner-up, and this is the one that I almost picked, and that was from starting with "We Are the Same." You're right. Yeah, you're right. We are the same. Because I know what should happen. I know what you
deserve. Yeah, that tremor.
And just the look on his face as he says it just sells that scene so hard.
Yeah, there's so many scenes in Dalek that he sells very well. Just that sheer level of just abominable hatred.
I shall add in my runner-up. Run.
His first
just
line.
One word. First episode. Run.
Yeah, actually, mine would have been
for 10 years.
Hello, Rose Tyler. I'm the Doctor. Run for your life. There's some great lines that he just manages to sell.
Yeah,
and they're all over the place.
I even put it for my runner-up. Just one word. That's all he needs.
I mean, one of the other ones I considered was from End of the World, when what's her face, the tree,
Oh,
mentions she recognized him, and he just looks up and he doesn't say a word.
Just the depression in his eyes.
Yes, he was able to radiate that so well. He was able to give off Ryoga Hibiki levels of depression. It's not fun. I mean, seriously, weaponized, bad.
Weaponized depressed. Right there in that phase.
So moving on from Eccleston, who is great, on to Tennant, who's also great.
Also, way too overquoted at some points.
Oh yes. Best lines. You guys first.
Oh god, best lines.
For favorite moment of the 10th Doctor, I'm going to go with the ending sequence to Family of Blood, where he finally decides to stop running and strike back.
Okay.
The things that he does to that family, yeah.
Yeah.
Where he traps his sister in the mirror.
Okay, so the Fury of the Time Lord.
The Fury of the Time Lord sequence, yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually have to rewatch that sequence every now and again on YouTube. It was such an epic, just moment of badass Doctor.
Yeah, and technically not his own sequence, but the little kid talking about him in the same story, talking about the Doctor, and how he burns in the center of time, etc.
Oh
yes, he's fire and ice and rage. He's the night in the heart of the storm. He burns at the center of time and watches the turn of the universe. Yeah, both of those scenes, I watched them back and forth repeatedly.
And even though, again, it's the little kid talking, I think they were still showing sequences of the Doctor during that. Either that was a fan video that I really remember.
That was a fan video that you watched because they were because it was mostly the kid's face and the look on Tennant's face as he was playing John Smith hearing this and on the verge of freaking out. Is in the original video.
Oh god. Wobbly wobbly.
All right.
There's a very popular overquoted bit from him.
So was those your two or?
That one's definitely on the top of my list. Yeah, the Burns to the Center Time speech about him.
Okay.
Bill, you got a top 10th?
Well, mine was the one that was the Fury of the Time Lord.
The Fury of the Time Lord. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, it was Randy that we didn't have one.
So many. Yeah, I haven't listed. There are so many because, as many people know, Tennant is my favorite Doctor at this point. Pretty much from the moment he came on screen as Tennant in the Christmas Invasion, and I will actually go with that scene at the moment when he walks out on the Sycorax ship
and blinking stepped into the sun. Oh wait,
that's the Lion King. Yeah, it's that whole scene where he's like, "Who am I? I don't know who I am. I could be this. I could be that. I could be a lover. I could be a fighter. I don't know what else to say, but I've definitely got a gob." Pretty much from the moment they try to whip him, and
what am I going to do when I see this?
Yes. It is pretty much a moment of awesome that just goes on. And the problem is that Tennant has so many of those. But if you hadn't noticed, I had kind of based what I had actually had for my favorites on a theme. And that theme, had you guys figured it out?
Speeches.
Epic speeches.
Of what the Doctor is.
Mm-hmm. Epic speeches give away what the core of the Doctor, yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Which means you and I are probably going to pick the same one for the next Doctor.
Oh, I bet, because we both know which one's our favorite. We mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Or was it 3 weeks ago? It was sometime within the last month, anyway.
Yeah.
So, we've all done our 10th. Let's move on to the final entries that we're doing in this. Matt Smith.
So actually, you two go first because I have multiple choices still on him.
I actually have 3.
I have about 3 or so. Yes.
So mine is pretty much everything starting with "You lot get back here." And
Hello, I'm the doctor. Basically, run. Yep.
Or maybe it's starting with him apologizing for the long distance bill. But everything from there.
Pretty much the from the moment they walk out on the roof. Didn't you just tell them to go away? Going away is fine. Not coming back is better.
Yeah.
That whole scene? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, that is one of my choices. But like I said, I have others. Matt, your choice.
Which one to go with? There's at least 3 other choices I have.
I've got multiples too, so whichever way you go, I'm covered.
Well, let's go with the middle of that season, Doctor's Wife. The doctor, yeah, the Doctor's Wife.
That's actually the next season, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the middle of next season, wasn't it? Right where I started missing stuff big time. But yeah, Doctor's Wife. Just anything with him and the TARDIS talking with each other. Pure gold. And thank you for it, Neil Gaiman.
All right. I'll take that. And I'll end it with Matt Smith telling a story. As much as I don't like the rest of that episode, his speech in Rings of a Cotton is fairly epic and fairly emotional. I mostly just don't like all the singing in the episode, but the singing actually works in that particular scene because it's performing as a backdrop to what he's saying.
Right.
It's actually a piece that it's enough, and it was enough that when they redid the scene there and in Time of the Doctor, and they used that music sting at the end of it, I thought that was actually a perfect choice of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also right around the time that I started bawling like a little girl, which is why that's also my backup. That was my major backup one.
What was the scene in Time of the Doctor?
Yeah, where he's giving his last little speech before he changes.
I didn't get into one of my backup Tenet ones too. Was I Don't Want to Go. Also, great quoted, but it is a horribly emotional line.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can earn yourself a lot of enemies by liking that line, but I'm not among them.
Why? It's mostly beef with the rest of the episode, not the regeneration scene that I've seen.
A lot of people seem to really hate that line specifically.
I love that line!
Why would they hate that line?
People that hate that line can kiss it.
Yeah, they got
because I'm pretty sure it wasn't just the Doctor saying it. I'm pretty sure there was some Tenet in there.
I guarantee you there's some Tenet, and I guarantee you there's also some fangirls and fanboys.
No, I'm saying
I don't want him to go.
That was in that line, that not just the Doctor saying it, there was a little of David Tennant regretting stepping down.
Yeah, and I'm still saying that even the fans were probably still screaming it too at the time.
Yeah, it was good enough that he had to repeat it in Day of the Doctor.
Right.
He always says that.
And I noticed none of us for the 11th Doctor had the end of Day of the Doctor as the epic scene.
That was another distant backup. But not so distant, like top 5.
Yeah, my top 3 were the one Bill mentioned, the Hello, I'm the Doctor, basically, run. Mm-hmm. That was the top of my list, but it moved down. The Rings of a Cotton speech and the Pandorica Open speech.
The Pandorica Open speech?
Yeah, the big 3 of Matt Smith's speeches.
The Rings of a Cotton speech. There's another one in the top 5.
My fourth would probably be the one thing you don't put in a trap speech.
It's me. Yeah, that was my 4th too.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a great Tenet line from Girl in the Fireplace. And that was the thing that, there are monsters out there, but even monsters have nightmares. What do they have nightmares of? Me. Mm. There's so many wonderful, epic, badass speeches that most of them were done by Moffat, by the way. He seems to be the king of the badass speech.
Which is why he should step down as main writer, so he can just do the main speeches when they need one, and leave the rest of the story to someone
concentrate on doing
else.
1 to 2 episodes a season instead of 5. Opening, usually a 2-part middle and a 2-part end. And I haven't even mentioned doing the Christmas special, so that's 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's overburdened because that's giving him about 2 months per episode, and not really even that because they're all crunched together. So,
right.
Well, it is now 11:01. We have reached the end of our list, and I believe, Randy, you have to actually go ASAP.
Yeah, pretty quick here. But yes, we've reached the end of the list. We should be back at regular broadcast time next week. Cross our fingers. Cross our fingers.
Cross our fingers. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anything else coming up.
Where we will be starting a series on basically the regeneration episodes of Doctor Who, starting with William Hartnell's swan song, The 10th Planet, which of course is very recently out on DVD.
Yep, mm-hmm. with new animated final episode to complete the serial.
Provided they don't find that final episode someplace in the future.
True.
Yeah. And do another re-release.
The animated replaces a still shot.
Well, probably if they ever do that, they'll have a special edition where they'll have the animated episode as an alternate.
Right. Or as an extra or something, yeah.
Yeah, as an alternate in the extra, yeah. But at the moment, the animation's what we've got. So I'm actually going to be going out, provided the weather's decent. At the moment, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, we've had freezing rain here all day. And it's gone back to normal rain, but we're supposed to be getting snow, so it's debatable whether I'll be going anywhere tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm planning on hopefully coming out sometime this weekend and picking up 10th Planet on DVD as a present to myself for my birthday. So I will have that freshly watched, and I will state that I have never seen the episode in its entirety.
Oh. I just saw it all today.
I've read it. I've never seen it.
I've watched it once. I'll be watching it again for next Sunday.
Mm-hmm. So,
all right, we will see you then.
Yep, see you all next time.